Hi there, this is Sahid with New Bloom Solutions and The Bloom Show. The intention of The Bloom Show is to connect, inspire, and innovate the floral industry through community. Today is International Women's Day, so happy International Women's Day to all the amazing women that allow us all to bloom. So I know it's a little corny, but it is true. So thank you to all the amazing women. Today, as you know, the Bloom Show is a place for community to engage, to collaborate, to share, and to ask questions selfishly and just to learn as much as possible and to connect our industry from the top all the way through to the bottom throughout all sectors. I have five amazing women that are leaders in our industry and business owners as well. I'm going to briefly go through each of those women and give a brief not description, but how do you say introduction for each of them, and then I'm going to bring them all in. And the format is very casual. I'll ask a question, start with someone, and then we'll just gradually, whoever is interested in answering, will go from there. So again, bear with me. There's a lot of moving parts all at once, believe it or not. And this is something new for New Bloom Solutions, but we're really excited to bring this to the floral industry community. So the first person I'd like to speak about very briefly is Kristin Boldt. To me, she's an unspoken hero in the flower industry. She is the reason why many of our products get from point A to point B within the floral industry. She is the vice president of AFIF, Association of Floral Importers of South Florida. But again, when I read that, I didn't think it did it justice because South Florida is the mouth of the river. So she is the reason why everything happened. So she is responsible for day-to-day operations of AFIF and implementation of advocacy and regulatory compliance initiatives. Her responsibilities are those of a FIFA spokesperson and collaborates with all government and federal regulatory agencies. Think about that, how important that is. So thank you to her for joining us as well. Beth O'Reily is awesome, super fun. She was one of the guests on HBO Full Bloom, a contestant on HBO Full Bloom. If you haven't seen it, see it. You'll learn a lot about our industry and how florists interact and work with big projects. So super excited to see that. I consider her a floral-preneur. Beth O'Reily is a multifaceted designer with experience in product development, social media marketing, speaker presenter, wholesale logistics and distribution, sourcing, sales management, and floral design educator. It is a thing to have multi-talents and to use them as a business. So, my hat goes off to her. Jules Lewis Gibson. She is the new president of Florist Review, a third-generation female entrepreneur. She is known for publishing high-end luxury magazine. Gibson entered the media business with a purchase of Florida Home magazine in 2011 and soon founded Fuse Media as an umbrella company for growing titles, which include Gravitas, and which is really interesting to me. And the reason why it won an Innovative Award-winning Women's Title Award, as well as she also ran Florida Boating and several custom publications for real estate and travel. But she did tell me a great story about Gravitas and how it kind of was one of the first to really start with the women's magazine. So that's super exciting. I love innovators and trendsetters. So she is a trendsetter. We have Jill Brooke, founder and editorial director for Flower Power Daily. Great blog. Really big fan of it. Why? Because it shows flowers in a different perspective. It shows it through, and she could do a much better explanation of this, but through culture, through art, through music. So it allows us not to just look at the design, but the impact of flowers in our daily lives. She was a CNN correspondent, a columnist for New York Post, Adweek, and Metropolitan Home, as well as writing for the New York Times and many other women magazines. So again, thank you. And thank you to all the ladies for joining me and joining us. And then we have Michelle Melloni, Floral-Preneur and Operations. She's owner co-owner of Ecuamia and JV Flowers and Florex, taking the business to the next level by developing e-commerce platforms and implementing business intelligence. Check that out, business intelligence in the flower industry. That's amazing. And performing digital marketing strategies for all of our 3 companies, Ecuamia, Florex, and JV Flowers, creating a technology department within her flower industry company. Think about that. Super cool. And partnering with Ecuadorian foundations to promote underprivileged women jobs. So again, thank you to all these wonderful women. They're literally giving me an hour and a half of their time. That's unheard of. And thank you, because they're busy women. So again, thank you to all of them. I'm going to bring them on all at once, trying this out here. So again, have fun, ask questions, and enjoy. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hi, everybody.
Welcome. No one's on mute. No one's on mute. So it's a free for all here. But welcome on board. And again, thank you so much, and happy International Women's Day. And so I'll start with the questions. Let me go here. So our first question is, and again, as I said, I'm going to kind of start with one person. If I pick on a person more than 3 times or 2 times, it's not personal. It's the easiest place to go. But what do you love about working with flowers, and what attracted you to this industry? And I'll ask Jill, because she helped me kind of get these questions going. So Jill, if you could start it off for us. So the question, what do you love about working with flowers, and what attracted you to this industry?
Well, I started with having an art history degree, and I always loved flowers and paintings. And when I was editor-in-chief of Avenue and Travel Savvy and other magazines, and as well as covering the entertainment business, I got a front row seat to people who could afford the most beautiful exhibitions of floral artistry. And I realized that, you can still live a caviar life on a cod budget. Flowers literally enhance all environments. And I'll never forget that years ago, and I don't know if you all remember her, but it was somebody called, I was this young kid, and Marlo Thomas. I went to interview her, and I heard that she had a florist that delivered hundreds of dollars worth of flowers every week, and it was the only thing she cared about, and she only wanted white flowers. Just like Beyonce, she only loves orchids. And in a way, when you see excellence on that level, it also, first of all, I think that flowers are an extension of the divine, and you realize that they should be in everybody's toolbox, because once when you're around them, they immediately calm you, soothe you, inspire you by their beauty. And I was just intrigued by it, and always thought that, and then when I was able to travel because of my previous life, you realize that in the smallest little countrysides of France and in Amsterdam, flowers are revered not only as a luxury, but as a necessity. And you could be just at a table with just one little bud vase, and everybody knew that flowers enhanced your life. So fast forward all these years, when I could afford, and I think that is really the key. I think that there would be far more women entrepreneurs in all businesses if you could afford to start your own business, because what that means is that you have to work, Harvard Business School says it takes between 3 and 5 years before you can make a profit, usually. You have to have a mistake fund, because you don't know sometimes. There's somebody that comes to you and says, I can do this, especially with social media. And then you realize, no, they can't, but I've wasted all this money, and where am I going to get more to, put it into something else? So I think that there's a series of reasons, why I can't think of anyone not loving flowers, because I just want to rewind the tape to one point and then get to the business side, because I think that's what our focus is that I'm sure we all know about the Duchenne smile. And what that is that literally nobody is neutral about flowers. In every socioeconomic class around the globe, anyone who sees a flower has a similar reaction. And the Duchenne smile means is that they did a study and thought that seeing a flower, like if you saw like a tiger or a bear and you get scared of that and then something wonderful, they thought, okay, we'll flash a picture of a flower as a neutral to, transition. You can't be neutral because everybody had the similar response. They smiled, they got happy, they calmed. And that's why they call it now the Duchenne smile, because that was the researcher.
Great.
So flowers right now, more than any time in history, is finally having its moment, because it's not only in motifs, in art, design, jewelry, and home, but it is also in food, in wellness, in every psychology and wellness. And I think that for the first time, all these ladies that are gathered, we are pioneers, being women of this particular time, that has given us this opportunity, and we're taking advantage of it.
Well said. Thank you, Brooke. Thank you very much. So let me have, unless anybody wants to jump in, please do. But I would love to ask Beth O'Reilly.
So I found flowers, they came into my life while I was in college, and I am a fine arts sculpture major. So as I learned more about flowers and was dealing with flowers in the three-dimensional, it just fit. And once you get bit with the bug of flowers, it just never leaves you. I'm a self-proclaimed flower nerd. I have gone on to do my accreditation with AIFD. I'm a Texas Master Florist, and I just can't get enough of it. And for me, flowers are for everyone. And it's just like Jill spoke. You're speaking my language. I love it. It just gives me chills. But when you experience flowers, it's a moment that can't be taken away. It's yours to keep. And I think that's one of the key things, because flowers do impact our lives in such amazing ways at all different points in our lives. So many different ways that flowers impact. And I love to be a part of that. That's really why I'm a part of this industry. And when I say flowers are for everyone, I mean they're for children. I teach my son floristry, and we learn about life. We learn about the circle of life. There's so many metaphors and so many important lessons that we have to learn by watching a flower. And just to kind of tie that back into Women's Day, the most beautiful part of a flower is the inside. And I feel like that is really, truly what we need to look at in each other and the women on this panel and just women in general. I'm so excited to see Women's Day come a little bit more to the forefront here in the United States. I know it's very popular in Europe and Russia. And just as Jill said, we've come out of this kind of reflective time in our homes during COVID, and we're wanting to beautify our space and make ourselves a little bit more aware of Mother Nature and the beauty around us. So it's a perfect time for all of this. So thanks for having us. I am certainly humbled to be on this panel with all of you women. It is amazing to hear the introductions and learn a little bit about you. So thanks for having us.
Thank you so much again, Beth. Very well said. Thank you. And I love the fact that you said also Women's Day is growing. And I envision Women's Day really being very impactful in our industry and benefiting all of us and more awareness as well. I'd love to hear from Kristin.
So I guess I came about it in a different way. It wasn't direct.
Yes.
My mom started in the flower industry in the early 1970s in Miami. She became the first woman to open up a flower importing company in Miami. So I'm kind of second generation, but in a different way. So in a very male dominated business, as Sahid said, it is a very male dominated business. She was the first woman, non-Latin woman to boot, who opened up a flower importing company in Miami, which was unheard of back in the 70s. And she kind of paved the way. She was one of the people who helped start the industry here. She collaborated, actually, the association that I now run. She was on the board from the beginning. So
Wow.
she was one of the creators of the organization. So I really was able to absorb the information by being her daughter. And so I came about it in a little different way. But instead of representing one company, I now represent the whole industry. And to tie it into International Women's Day, back in 2009, I received the World Trade Center Miami's International Women's Day Award. And that was one of the reasons that I had to try to come on a little later, because the flower industry through AFIF has always been the major supporter for the International Women's Day Awards in Miami through the World Trade Center. So we are really trying to, as you said, bring more awareness of International Women's Day into the United States. I would love to see every major city doing awards for International Women's Day to recognize all of us that are in international business and making a difference.
That's gotcha. Great. Congratulations on the award as well, and thank you again. Inspiring, super inspiring. So thank you again. Let's
Well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Thank you.
Yeah, it did not. It does not. So I think Jules, please, love to hear from you, Miss Jules. Oh, you are on mute. Give me a second.
Oh, am I on mute?
Yeah, I took you off of mute.
Okay. Well, I'm Southern, originally from Atlanta, and so flowers are kind of in Southern women's DNA, I feel like. It's kind of I've been gardening, really my whole life. I really love gardening and flowers and arranging, and in fact, I launched a online garden floral hybrid company in 2019.
She did.
And delivered potted plants, which actually looked like floral arrangements because I used a lot of little different varieties. And so that was really interesting. So I have a newfound appreciation for florists and for online retailers. And I realized that retail was not really a thing for me. And but I also now realize it would have been much better as a wholesale product for florists. Rather than delivering it directly to the consumer with, delivery issues and everything that we had. But I've always had a real passion for flowers, and my background is in marketing. I've owned a media company for the past 10 years. I owned an advertising agency prior to that. So when this opportunity came along, it was really as if I've been training for 30 years for this job, because I'm really passionate about helping small businesses and particularly women in business. And so this is just a fantastic opportunity to really bring everything that I've been doing for decades together in a new way.
And I love the direction you're going. So congratulations on that, and supporting businesses. We spoke briefly on how you're kind of going to design the magazine. So congratulations on that and supporting.
Well, thank you. Well, it's really important to me that we help florists build better business processes, because you can be the most talented designer in the world, but if you don't have a good functioning business, a good foundation for marketing, customer service, delivery, there's so many moving parts, you're going to fail. And so we want to really help people build better businesses. And I think the reinvention of the retail shop, I think is very exciting, with adding new avenues of revenue streams and opportunities. So it's exciting to be able to help florists not just come up with creative designs that are amazing and beautiful, but also affordable and profitable types of things, products that can really help their bottom line and help them be more successful.
And also, it sounds, with your experience, which I have to tell you, my heart is swelling right now, is that I want to showcase the great floral artists around the country, and I want to find out who they are. And there is no source right now, because SAF is very busy with lobbying and everything.
We're your new source. That's mine.
And my other colleagues complain about this too, because even with, and I'm making no judgment on this, but somebody says, why don't you have a list of the best florists in New York and California? I said, because I don't know them all. And I'm not going to reduce that to 10 people. But for instance, if there was a great day celebrating India, and I said, can you just give me 5 great Indian artists, all right, floral artists? I couldn't find it. I want a resource for that. And
Isn't it amazing? It's shocking, being that I come from the outside, I have a little bit of fresh eyes, kind of looking at the industry, and I'm shocked with some of the things that really aren't available. But we do have, we can talk about this later, but I'll just tell you really quick because you asked. We actually have a new series that we're launching, which I'm super excited about. I think it's going to be so much fun, called The Real Flower Shops of America. And you're actually going to be traveling around the country and showcasing flower shops in different cities and different states, because like you, I'm, at heart, I'm a storyteller. I'm a writer and a graphic designer. Those are my practical skills. And I really want to tell these wonderful designers and hardworking floral industry people, I want to tell their story, because that's what's exciting in this world, are people's stories. Stories are what get people excited. And so it's exciting to have different avenues to be able to do that.
And we all learn from everybody's story, no matter how long you've been in the industry. To one day, there's something to learn, because those mistakes at one day remind us of what we went through. So, but thank you for that, ladies. I want to ask Michelle the same question. Michelle, I'll ask you again, just in case you forgot it. But what do you love about working with flowers, and what attracted you to the industry? And in all, how did you come into the industry, of the flower industry?
Well, my background is a little different from everybody else. I'm Ecuadorian. I was born and raised in Ecuador, and until I was 25 years old, I moved to the States. But when I started with this business, it was with a great, amazing mentor, which happened to be my aunt. So I've been in a family business since I was 18 years old. She and we found JB Flowers, which is a broker company in Ecuador. But what really drives me the most, and what really inspired me from the beginning, was, all know that Ecuador is a developing country. And seeing all these women and men also in these conditions of working, and the people that goes to the farms to plant the seeds and pick up the flowers, to cut the stems, all of those people really inspire me to put my grain of sand to create a better kind of society for everybody, to create some progress to everybody. And in Ecuador, 20 years ago, the regulations and laws weren't as good as they are now. So people were getting exploited. A lot of people were overworked. So that really made a difference in me, and I've always been driven on making money as a company, because we're not gonna lie, we want to make money, but we also want to make this world a better place. So by us creating jobs and creating a fair trade of work opportunities for people, was my little thing of giving opportunity to people to work more and create more and have a good place to work. And that's what we did with my aunt 14 years ago. And that has been my inspiration. Also, here in the United States, we value flowers way much more than we value flowers in Latin America, because we take them for granted. We have them, we buy for $1 each bunch, 25 stems of flowers, we buy them for $1. So yeah, we take them for granted all the time. I mean, flowers are not much incorporated in our culture. So what really inspired me was to give an opportunity to all these people to grow and to progress.
Great. Thank you for that. And then, and going into inspiration, and I know some of you some of you might say each other because how inspiring each of you ladies are. But what the other question is, what women in our industry, or in another industry for the newcomers, but what women in our industry inspire you? So if we could start with Beth.
Oh, I have so many. I will start with kind of what my recent evolution has been. I recently was in wholesale before I did the HBO show. I was in wholesale on the corporate level. And one of my mentors there was Ann Frisbee, who was the vice president of 1-800-Flowers. So as I heard you talking about, 1-800 used to be run by mostly men, I think she's a real pioneer. And I learned a lot of really great business from her. When you talk about the artistry of floral design, my mentors there and the people, women that I look up to are Hitomi Gilliam, Holly Chappell. I have a group of women who are also AIFD accredited. And this goes back several years. We call ourselves the Pearl Sisters. We did product development in China for the silk floral industry. And those women are very near and dear to my heart. We call ourselves the Pearl Sisters because we love to buy pearls overseas, but we kind of made a pact together to help each other through the floral industry as, a women-centric promise to each other, really. And that was Michelle Perry-White, Susan Stanford. There's a bunch of Pearl Sisters involved in that. Those are two of them. Oh, Kim Morrell of Moral Support. So those are the three top there. But along with that, I also, just having been on the show, the HBO show, our casting owner of the casting company she really spoke to all of us, and she was a firecracker. I just got so much inspiration from her. Her name's Katie Whalen, and she talked about the 4 Ps, and the 4 Ps are positivity, passion, perseverance, and being proactive. And those are things that really stuck with me after I left and that I'm carrying on into the future. So that's just a few. There's more, but I love all of my flower sisters.
Are you taking applications for the Pearl Sisters, the Pearl guy?
Absolutely, all the time. The Pearl Sisters is always open. It's not hard to become one.
Great. So sorry. Jill, what would you say?
What women have influenced my career?
What women in our industry inspire you in our industry? Right. So maybe it's another woman that you've seen in our store. Right here.
Right here. All right. I mean, obviously there's Deborah Prinzing and there is Carolyn Rome and there is, I think, Jennifer Jewell, people who have been, I call them the goddesses of the garden. And they have been very effective in planting seeds of possibility and discussion and to make us look at the earth and flowers in a new elevated way. And I think that I just like to rewind the tape to one person that, everybody always invokes, and there's a story to tell about her, and that is Georgia O'Keeffe. And this is especially relevant for this moment of time. Now, when her flowers were being reviewed, just remember it was only male art critics. So, of course, they saw the sensuality and, said that all her flowers were absolutely graphic and sexual. If you actually knew Georgia O'Keeffe and you actually spoke to her and listened, that was not the case at all. She wanted people to just stop and to look at flowers, because through flowers and looking inside was the door to understand all the cycles of life, to understand that beauty and solace still exists no matter what's going on, that they are here to just literally bring beauty and joy. And that inspires me, because I think that if we can look at flowers with a new appreciative perspective as women, and maybe as women, that is what we are bringing to the industry a little more. And as you said, what Flower Power Daily does is we look at flowers in a new way, because we give it the respect that it deserves. It's not just, superficially beautiful. It is so much more than that. Each flower has histories and cultural significance, and how it's the only entity that is used for for sorrow and for celebration, and to express words, to express sentiments that words cannot. And when I started Flower Power Daily, and I'll just end with this because we have so many other conversations and great women voices to hear, that people kept on saying, how can you write about flowers every day? And more importantly, it's not just the end result of, all right, we're going to do a great, piece on Lewis Miller and his great flower arrangement, which is worthy of every single press accolade.
Yes.
But it's the growers who are in Ecuador and who are touching that flower and the integrity that goes into that. And then, just like here we have on our panel, that take it next and get it distributed through Miami, and all the hands that touch it to collectively bring such beauty and joy to the world. How can you not want to be in an industry? And I think what Beth said, I'm so hooked. I'm so happy to have this for the rest of my life, because I'm sorry, I didn't start earlier, because it's wonderful. And I know that I wouldn't have had that opportunity until now. And it's because of women like your panel who are making all this happen so that new conversations are being had.
And talking about making things happen, I'd like to ask Kristin Boldt your thought. And again, I have to give credit so much to Kristin Boldt for it. She's the channel of why we get our product. She's the one that's really pushing those buttons. So we have to give her credit and learn more about AFIF. So please, what's your answer to a woman in our industry that inspires you?
No, so I have to say, of course, I have a lot of history in this industry. So as I already mentioned, my mom was a big, a big glass ceiling breaker. So I got a lot of inspiration from that. But I also will say that when I took over AFIF in 2004, I was the only woman who was running an organization in the flower industry. Well, think about that. Here we now are in 2021, and almost all, except, and I'm not counting Expo Flores or Soco Flores because they're in countries of origin, but in the United States, all of the organizations now, except one, all have an executive director that's a woman.
Wow, that's
amazing.
So,
Really?
So I run AFIF. My full-time job is running AFIF. So the Association of Floral Importers. SAF is now run by Kate Penn. WFSA is Molly Mullins. AFE is Debbie Chidester. Certified American Grown, which of course is only 2 months old, is now they don't really have, but the head right now is Rita Joe, who's their chair of the board. So she's, we have so many women. Sylvie Mameas from Union Floors. She runs the International Association of Floral Associations. AFIF represented the United States for many years in the International Association. So having her in Brussels overseeing all the international organizations, and she's a woman. So women have come really far just in the United States in running the organization. So I have several. I mean, Debbie and I talk constantly because we are working on some projects, but we constantly say, wow, if we could have just done this 10 years ago or 20 years ago, we would be in a different place. But I think we have made a big difference. Women have made a huge difference. I mean, being able to have a lot of women at the farm level, at the positions that they are, that wasn't there 20 years ago. So we've come a long way. So I think there's a lot of women, and we all inspire each other, just like is being discussed here. As we talk and we learn each other and learn about each other, we inspire each other and we become better.
Yeah. And also kind of like the Pearl Sisters, it's really networking, connecting, and supporting each other. And that's really what our industry will grow from, and also personally, everybody can grow. Michelle, what would you answer to that question? Who has inspired you in our industry as a woman?
Well, I would agree with previous answers. All of you guys that are here I'm really inspired by you. I looked you up last night before I was here with you guys, and all of you have great achievements. But however, what really, really drives me every single day to be better, and what really I really look forward to do it, my company, myself, and this world a better place, are the women in my own team. Because like I said, we have Ecuadorian and US citizens employees, but the Ecuadorian people that are struggling, Ecuador is a developing country, but the Ecuadorian people that go every day to work. Just last year, we had some protests in Ecuador, and two of them had to join the protest just to make it to work. I mean, they had to go and protest with the protesters. They were not in favor of them, but they had to do that just to make it to work before the pandemic happened, because we're working remote now. And they just face adversity every single day. And those women are the people that drive me every single day, you know? The people, when we create more job openings for our people, that's when I say, great, we're doing a great thing here. And that's what drives me.
Yeah, that drives me too. So congratulations on that. That's very selfish of you. So thank you for that, for your part having to do within the flower industry. Jules, I haven't asked you this question yet, right?
No, you haven't.
All right. So Jules, yes, I'd love to hear your answer.
So for me, Kristina Boldt, the founder of Farm Girl Flowers, is amazing. I think she's done a fantastic job. I remember her back when she was on Shark Tank, when she first started. So I think she's a wonderful example of a woman entrepreneur who you know has really come a long way and stays true to her brand and herself, and she's very authentic. And, you know, somebody outside the industry that I really admire is kind of along the same lines of authenticity as Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. I think she's done extraordinary things for women. She's so authentic and real, and in her presentation, whether she's on media or on her social media, she's done a lot of programs giving back to women entrepreneurs. And I think that's really important. I think that's, you know, for me, there's, I'm new to this industry. But there's a lot of things that are very similar here that's, you know, across the board in other industries. I'm extremely excited to hear that there are so many women executive directors, because that's kind of one of the things that is kind of across the board. There's a lot of women in prominent positions, but when you get to the very top, it's usually a man. And so that's where I think that women leaders that do get to the top really have a responsibility to pay it forward to other women. And that's what's really exciting about that's happening in the past few years, because that was really what motivated me to start Gravitas, my women's publication, back in 2013. Because we were really still just seeing like celebrities were the only women that we saw in media back then. It was like either you were a celebrity, an actress, or, you know, and I just really felt that real women desperately needed a voice and to see real role models that, you know, were not Jennifer Aniston or Oprah. Like, let's see like the woman running a company down the street, running a florist shop, you know, and we just weren't really seeing those kind of stories. And having real discussions beyond, you know, the latest lipstick and the latest, you know, overpriced fashion out of Paris. You know, women's magazines were in general, you know, just reproductions of everything that had happened in the past 30 years. And in fact, in some ways had gone backwards. There used to be a lot more discussion back in the 70s of controversial subjects than kind of what was happening a few years ago. And being that I owned a media company, I really felt a responsibility to do something, because, you know, on the masthead, there's a lot of women on the masthead, but when you get up to the top, it's usually a male name. And men weren't really willing to break the mold of the women's magazine because it worked. And so, you know, I think that, and I took on a lot of controversial subjects that we don't generally have. One of my first was the Broken Sisterhood of Business, which talked about the things in business that weren't working for women, that women needed to take some notes from the old boys club. I mean, men are great at promoting and sponsoring each other. But women were often very competitive and felt like the only one of us is going to get in the boardroom. If I help you, you might take my seat, kind of thing. And that's really started to change over the past few years. And we see a lot of momentum with women leaders recognizing that it's really up to them to pull the next generation along.
Yeah, I love what you said at the end, and it's true. And it doesn't hurt you. It just helps you and our industry.
That makes you stronger. You know, it's kind of a rite of passage for men to have a bunch of fancy proteges, you know, smart little guys running around them. But you don't really see that with women. You know? And we've kind of been, truly been socialized to see each other as competition. You know, after all, there's only one princess in the story. So we need to rewrite those fairy tales and realize that, you know, as women, we truly are stronger together.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Well done. Anybody want to say anything after that? All right, great.
I've worked in newsrooms where I was the only female there. And, so what you said resonated so much, though. But I don't blame those other women in a way, because they were often in an untenable situation.
Exactly.
They didn't.
It was true that they were only going to let one in.
And not only would they sort of let that one in, I mean, that's part of the reason that I wanted to own my own entity right now, even though it's a small bud in the garden compared to a lot of, the big giant gardens that I've worked with in the past, is that, I just didn't want to have to deal with navigating, and especially in another era, choices that women had to make. Forget the harassment piece that, we don't want to mention, because we don't need to, because fortunately we've moved on. So I'm forgiving of those women, because a lot of them were single moms, and they didn't have, they couldn't lose their job by speaking out, and they sort of took whatever they were given. And that is, I think, what is unique about the floral industry, because of all the industries that I've worked in, I think there's a camaraderie there. You can have small flowers, tall flowers, different color. Everything is welcomed in the garden, so to speak. And I think that is really, and you can lead by example. And I think that what you mentioned, and just by doing the gravitas, I mean, I applaud you for that, because once you hear the stories, you realize the possibilities. And, when you look at it, that's what happened a lot of the time.
Yeah, I was very adamant. We didn't use models. We would pick amazing women in the community, and we would dress them up and give them their fashion day. We didn't Photoshop. I used to tell them, I'll give you your best day, but I'm not going to turn back the clock. And I would interview them, and I would force them to tell the real story, because that's another thing in this kind of glossed over social media world. People don't want to put their real self out there. It's a lot of pressure to be perfect these days for women, and you don't want to put your ugly, messy stuff on Instagram. You want all the pretty stuff. But we've all got that ugly, messy stuff. We've all been down a hard road. Nobody gets through life without having hardships. And we just needed to hear those stories from women.
And how you define.
Michelle, are you trying to say something, Michelle?
I just wanted to say that that's when it all comes to women empowering women ourselves. There's a saying that goes all around Instagram. I don't know the author, but it goes like, queens fix each other crowns, like real queens fix each other crowns. And we really need to realize our worth as women and to support each other, not like the support that we need to give has to come from a love and honesty place. So as long as we women know how to open up authentically to other women, it's just gonna get us stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that most women, we just don't realize that yet, that as opening up, as you said, we can face different challenges, because we all go through that. We all do. And that's really important to know.
Mm-hmm.
A sisterhood where you can literally call. Now, I will tell you guys a quick story, because this is the truth. When I was working at ABC News Nightline, I was not a girl that came from this incredible background. And I had put myself through school. And literally, I arrived there, and I am with every Ivy League person you could possibly imagine, with the most connected. I mean, I was working with Kissinger's son, and you could not, and I had nobody to turn to ask, well, do I do this or I do that? And I realized my childhood friends and my college friends are going to be essential to me. And I need to work and create a group where when I mess up or I don't know the answers to something, I can call up my sisterhood and say, all right, I messed up. I did this. What did I do? How do I learn this? And I would have dinners because, Nightline was on from 11:30 to 12. So obviously I wasn't going out during the week. So every other Saturday night, they would come to Jill's and I would have this group dinner and I would have the best flower arrangements. And that's how immediately I knew to bring flowers into everything. And that was the sisterhood dinner that we would have. And so you have to almost be proactive. I mean, you were blessed that, your mother handed that baton and you have done incredible things with it. But when you are someone who doesn't have that background,
right,
and you really need to literally be proactive and say, okay, I know I can call Beth. I know I can call Jules. What do you think? And that all of us just to carve out time that we are there, because nobody has the answers, especially when you're growing your business, because, you're not experts yet. You're amateur. You're just figuring it out. And I think
when there's a pandemic going on.
What?
Yeah, while there's a pandemic going on.
Pandemic coming. Like, you never know. There's no business plan that works for that.
Yeah. So,
and for me, it was kind of shocking to me to hear a lot of this because I was a little blind to what was going on because I've been an entrepreneur since I was 25 years old. My mother was an entrepreneur. Even my grandmother was an entrepreneur. She ran the family produce farm. And she was the businesswoman. She had her own attorney back in the 30s, which is kind of, just amazing. So I grew up with these big, these examples of entrepreneurship and women's, strength. And because I had run my own show for so many years in different, businesses, I was surprised. I was kind of shocked to realize, like, when I started Gravitas and started hearing all of these stories, it was amazing to me how little, change had happened from like the 80s to like the 2010s, and now we've kind of taken another jump in the past few years, which is really, really exciting. But, for a lot of women, entrepreneurship is the key to not just success, but freedom.
Totally. You have to have the finances in order to start that. And,
it's true. But when you said earlier that businesses take 3 to 5 years to make a profit, that's not true. I could never have survived. I had to make a profit my first month in media.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. I can tell you guys my experience when I started Ecuamia, the second company. I didn't have the funds. As a matter of fact, a client from Romania in Ecuador, in the Ecuadorian company, had just stolen from us a lot of money. And I had nothing to start with when I came to the States. And I just started with samples from the farms, offering to flower shops. And what I saw that it could be an opportunity was the freshness and the high quality of these farms that I was offering to these high-end flower shops. So money, it is important, but it's not a huge barrier to start something, in my opinion.
I think it goes back to. I think it also goes. Sorry, ladies. Sorry. I think it also goes back to the not fearing perfection and just moving forward. If you kind of stop and there's a reason why you're stopping, figure it out and move forward within all scope, male, female. It's really fearing that perfection and moving forward. And sorry, ladies, out of respect of time, we have 12 minutes, and I want to respect everybody's time as well. I'm going to kind of ask questions and move on a little bit. But I love how inspired you are to speak about businesses and your different perspectives. So thank you so much for that. My next question is, as a woman in the floral industry, do you think it has been, and one of the guests here actually requested this question, but as a woman in the floral industry, do you think it has been different for you, advantageous or disadvantageous? And I'd love to ask Kristin, if you don't mind answering, Kristin.
So I think that's That's a very difficult, not a difficult question, but it was. It's hard to answer that question. Okay, so back in 2003, 2004, when AFIF was trying to decide who they were going to have their next executive director, they really wanted to hire someone outside the industry. They didn't want to have someone from within. And I worked for a company, my mom's company, and it was a small family-owned business. But I had to convince them to give me a chance. Mm-hmm. This was not an easy, sell. I mean, of course, I've been there since 2004 now, but it was not easy. So I think that to take a leap of faith, it wasn't just me. I mean, the entire board, is male dominated. A lot of the businesses in South Florida are mostly male dominated, and it's Latin dominated. So a non-Latin female trying to do that, wow. I had everything against me instead of for me. So when I travel to, whether it's Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, Guatemala, Costa Rica, even European countries, Europe is a little bit farther advanced, but it is still very, I'm going to say it backwards as far as businesses in South America. Males are still expected to be the top. We are coming up, but most of the businesses are still male dominated. So it is a very challenging thing to be a woman and to be a non-Latin in a very Latin dominated business. But I think that we have so many opportunities, and we have increased our visibility and increased our opportunities. So, and we, it used to be that the men who worked out of the house used to say to the woman, well, what do you want to do? Well, I love flowers. Let me just, I'll buy a corner store and you can have a florist shop. And they just did it to have something to do. Well, when the recession came, to your points earlier, when the recession came in 2008, 2009, a lot of these businesses weren't really businesses. They were just some hobby that somebody had. So we actually had to change the structure and change what we were doing in order for them to be viable businesses. And so now I think a lot of the women who have actually come in and are running these businesses are true business entrepreneurs. So we've come a long way.
Floral-preneurs, if you like to use that, you can. You can. So, Michelle, I also wanted to ask you, what, as a woman in the floral industry, do you think it's been a little different for you?
Well, I don't think not only for me, but for every woman, it's been challenging, right? Because we have to work as much as men. Well, maybe more, as double or triple as hard as to be respected and acknowledged. Not because we want to be better than you guys, just because we seek equality. We seek the same level of respect. So we have to keep proving ourselves and to the society that we are worth it, that we have a value. So the advantage for me that is that it's made me stronger and more confident about who I am as a woman. And I've learned how to set boundaries too. That's really important. I think Jill has a book about it that I've seen about say no.
Say no, because women, actually it's a chemical thing. When women say no, there's something actually that, we react. A man can say no and it's not a problem at all. And that's genetic. But the thing, I want everyone else to talk, because I hope I didn't take too much time, but it's the yin and yang. And when you really look at the data where women are running companies and men are, and that they're collaborative, the product is better because all these perspectives help things grow better.
Right.
It's not taking something away. It has to be love-based, not fear-based, because once you have a woman in the boardroom or somebody just who's intelligent with ideas, everybody benefits.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I think that's important too, is that we that we have the, it's not man bashing. Like, I don't want the old boys to break up their club. They enjoy their club. They're good at it. We just need a girls' club. We just need our own club.
Club, sign me up.
Talking about clubs.
I really congratulate men out there that are equal, that have the consciousness of being equal as women. And because I know, and I've met them, I know there are men out there that are conscious enough. So continuing with your questions, one of the disadvantages that I've seen is that sometimes we cannot be, well, I speak for myself, we cannot be ourselves among men because I feel that perhaps they are objectifying me or judging me just because I'm a woman.
Well, they are.
All we have to do is
real. I mean, they are. I mean, I had a woman leader. She's one of the most senior women in banking in the entire country. And she was telling me a story about how when she goes to Washington, when she walks into a room and it's a bunch of men talking, the tone changes when she walks up. Now, she's one of the foremost women in banking. She's extraordinarily accomplished and respected, but they change their tone. They're not talking about the guy stuff. The conversation changes, and she says she can feel it, she can see it, like it's a little different.
You just have to prove that you belong there. And once you prove that you've belonged there, then you can get an equal voice, but sometimes it's harder to get an equal voice.
But we're not always at the same table, we're not always on the fishing trip. We're not always at the steak club or the strip house, like women aren't always at the important tables.
My wife is always fishing with me. So,
and that's what you said. I'm sorry, Sahid, to interrupt you.
Problem.
We have to prove, just by saying that, we have to prove, we have to make an effort to be as equally as men. And we, as society, as human beings, we have evolving so much in the last few years, as in technology, in all other areas, but socially we haven't been evolving as much as in other areas. So why not to be risky right now as men and take the chance to give women an opportunity to evolve.
I just look forward to the day when women don't have to work so much harder to get to the same place.
Yeah.
And we're getting there, I think, and it's not going to be my generation, but I think the younger generation, things will have changed.
Fantastic. Thank you, ladies. So, and again, out of respect for the time, I do have one question, two more questions. So, and we'll hopefully make them quick. But I do want to give an opportunity. This platform is really a way to communicate, connect, and collaborate. So, I wanted to give the opportunity for any, not shout outs, but any collaborating or network opportunities. If there's anything, and I ask everybody from now on, my guests, for this question, because it really gives us all an opportunity to collaborate. So if there's any of you, and please just feel free to chime in, and I'm not going to ask for anybody in particular, even though I'd love to hear from Beth, but if there's anybody that is looking for networking or collaboration or interested in finding plants or just anything that you could get the word out there, what would it be? Beth, if you don't mind, you're the only person I'm going to shout out to. But
Sure, absolutely. I do think networking is a key. I've got some projects going on where I just see even healthcare workers and people who are not usually turning to flowers, really turning to flowers right now, and just being so open and inviting in our industry. I do have to just say, I'll make it quick. I've never looked at what's ahead of me as being a challenge because I'm a woman. I have great women around me as figures and mentors to keep going and persevering. I have stereotypes within my own family. I have a son who's mixed, and I have a husband who's Black. And those are equality things that I am standing for as well. So we're all in this together. It's not just about women against men. I mean, it's about families and, you know, creating a wonderful life for all of us, whether you're in Ecuador, whether you're in the fields, and experiencing as much as we can together as just a human culture. And flowers really do bring us all together in a really amazing way. So the more I can network with anyone, I love hearing about all of the women on the panel. I am a true through floral designer. They have my heart and my passion. If anyone ever wants to send me a DM, my DMs are always open on Instagram. And just inspiring a new group of people coming up is really what it's all about.
Great. Anybody else? Jules? Anybody looking for any collaboration?
I forgot the question.
If basically a shout out for collaboration or networking, if you're looking to connect.
Oh gosh, well, we're all about collaborating. I mean, my whole point is I just want to give the stage to all the talented floral designers out there, and the educators and the growers and the wholesalers. I mean, it's such an exciting industry, and I see that as our purpose. Our purpose is to give the stage to you guys so that we can showcase all these amazing people and their talents.
Hey, the other day you did say that you were looking for a comedy writer. So are you still looking
yes.
for? Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking for somebody who's in the industry that is interested in writing a comedy piece. But I'm in general I just want to hear from everybody. I love on Instagram. Oh, go ahead. Oh, you could write.
No, not me. My partner Tomas, he's hilarious, and he knows everything about the industry.
You got to connect us. That would be fun because we all need a little comedy relief.
I would like to ask a question. You know, when I started this, I really wanted it to be authentic in the sense that I wasn't going to pay Facebook or anyone, and either it was going to work or it wasn't, and people were going to find us. And now, you know, for the business side, because my superpower is much more editorial. It is not the business side. I'm not good at it. I'm trying to be good at it. How important do you think it is to pay for these Instagram posts to Facebook? Supposedly you get more followers, but, you know, I don't understand. One day I'll go up 100, I'll go down. I can have incredible press from a major place, and it will do nothing on Instagram. And then on another day, I'll just get a few. I haven't figured it out. Has anyone what to do about raising numbers for Instagram, which people now all of a sudden say
I could help you with that. I do a lot of organic growth. I've grown a couple organically, and I imagine Jules could also. She has a certain department there that's working on that as well. So connect with us after the show, and obviously give me a call. I'll walk you through all the tips that I've gone from 0 to 10,000 followers. So. And engagement rates. And there's so much. Don't get me started.
I don't personally believe that paid advertising will increase your numbers. That will be good numbers. You know, I mean, engagement to me is the key. Yeah. That's really your key is the engagement. Buying followers, you know, through to me, the paid advertising is fantastic if you got something specific you want to sell. But to build an audience on paid, I think that's an expensive and probably not a good return on your investment to go that route. But I'd love to help you out. I mean, we need to talk, honey. I mean, we definitely need to connect.
So anybody else looking for any networking, collaboration, anything like that? Go ahead, Michelle.
I do. So 2 things. Florex is the project that we're working on right now. It's a flower software. It's an operational software as well as an e-commerce. So what we're doing right now is that we're building this e-commerce where customers such as florists, wholesalers are going to be able to customize their boxes from the farm. For that, we also need farms to be open to digital transformation. And if any provider, any producer of flowers wants to join in web services, which is basically a program that is going to link their their live availability to show in our system, we're gonna be open to help them install that. And second of all, as we said, we are very focused on promoting environmental and social change in our company. So we are partnering up with a nonprofit organization in Ecuador that educate small farmers of all kinds, not only flowers, to provide them with necessary tools with their success. So we're gonna create a GoFundMe fundraising really soon. And if you guys want to know more about it, you can just go to their website. It's called fdamunay.org. It's fdamunay.org. And we're just going to help these nonprofit to grow.
Awesome.
Thank you. And then
Can I just quickly add just
Go
one
for
little
it.
thing?
Go for it.
So we are launching the Real Flower Shops of America. We're going to be going, actually, we're going to South Florida next week. We have a little tour that's going to come through Miami. Maybe we'll get to see you. And
Let me know.
you
Hey,
too.
When are you going to be there? I'm going to be judging the Floridaville on the 19th. Are you going to be there?
I think so. Yes.
I'll be there as well.
That'll be great. Oh, fantastic.
Hey,
So I want everybody to know I personally look at our Instagram DMs all the time. I find a lot of the florists that we spotlight through Instagram. I'm amazed at the work, and it's amazing. I'd love to showcase the wonderful Holly Chapels of the world that have amazing work and wonderful histories. But I also really like to show the up and coming talent. There's some amazing people on Instagram that they maybe only have a few hundred followers, but my God, the work they're doing is fantastic.
And I have a whole list of them, but they don't have publicists. They're working 24/7, and but yet their work, and that's the whole piece of it. You see it, and it's a form of art, and it's so nice to also give them a splash of editorial.
Yes, absolutely. Share the love. So anybody that's interested in being in our floral spotlight, being one of the Real Flower Shops, we also do have some fun things that we're doing. DM us on Instagram. We're there 24 hours a day. And so, just please reach out, because we want to find you. We want to tell your story.
Awesome. Thank you. So one last question, and hopefully we could get through it real quick. And it's just could be a question is, what is one question you will challenge the floral industry to ask themselves? And by the way, the theme of this year's Women's Day, International Women's Day, is choose to challenge. So what is one question? It doesn't have to be within the scope of women rights or what have you, but just as an industry. And I'm going to go for Beth to start it off.
My choose to challenge would definitely be to celebrate women regularly. I challenge everyone, celebrate the women in your lives regularly. And of course, give them flowers.
Fantastic. And how about yourself, Jules?
Well, it would be to elevate women to top positions. It would be to make a concerted effort to find the talented women in your organization that deserve, have earned, and would just thrive and help you grow so much, putting them in top leadership positions. And then when those ladies get there, it's their job to pull the next generation up.
And Jill?
I would agree with that. I said, no matter how hard you've worked, if you just pull your hand down into the earth and bring up others, you create a better garden of sisterhood. And it's not only for women, it's for men that are deserving too. It's just for anyone, and to just not be fear-based and forgive yourself that, you can try things and it may not work, but just the harder you work, the luckier you get. And when you are with flowers, there are always thorns, but then you get to the rose. And I don't think that you'll ever be unhappy by being in the floral industry in any capacity.
That's a beautiful thing. # flower smiles. I've never seen someone get flowers without smiling. And how about yourself, Michelle?
Well, I would ask the industry, how do we force ourselves before consumers force us to be more environmental and socially conscious so we can be ready for what is coming in the next few years.
Beautiful.
That's what I, and especially to myself, I think about how would be the first step to do it as an individual and as a company. So
Fantastic. Thank you. And that is true. We always kind of look at our past success, but we sometimes don't look forward to figure out how to keep going with success. So you're 100% right. And Kristin?
So I'm
Last but not
going
least.
to I'm going to talk about a program that we started about 6 months ago. It's an industry collaboration. That in the middle of pandemic, what was the one thing that we couldn't see or couldn't do? We couldn't see smiles, and we couldn't hug each other. So the flower industry had a collaboration that started back in July, the Hugs and Smiles Bouquet campaign. And so it was to, have people think about those hugs and smiles that we can't see or give in this time, but it was about the health benefits of flowers. And the whole campaign was centered around the health benefit of flowers. So I would hope that the flower industry will see this industry collaboration and move it forward. We set it up so that it could duplicate. And I do want to tell you that Texas is our next goal, is to work in Texas on this. We did it in Michigan, and we showed that the health benefits of flowers are there, and people actually embraced it. So we want to work with Texas and Wisconsin, Indiana, all of these states that have already said they want to participate. But it is centered around the health benefits. We have a great product that people love. So let's show people through the love in giving flowers every day, not just for the holidays, but every day. And what better way than to show a hug and smile?
And my challenge as well to the industry, sorry, I'm not a lady, but my challenge as well to the industry is collaborate and support projects like Hugs and Smiles. We all kind of look at it, who's the first one that's going to get the foot in? Be brave, get your foot in there, and encourage everybody else, because as an industry, we could do a lot more as a community, collaborating together and helping not innovations, but campaigns such as Hug and Smiles, which only helps our industry.
So Kristin, I'll write about that immediately. I love that. And, write about Beth on Friday. And that's the whole thing. We can collaborate. And also, I have some really good story on the health benefits, which has unbelievable scientific reports just supporting, what you're saying. And, sometimes it's like yoga in a way, is that they want to see the science behind it before they believe it. Any of us who work in the floral industry know the emotional impact, but especially getting through schools and various places like that, it's hard to sometimes, you need the convincing data. And there's a place in Texas, which is really fabulous, that it's the only one that I've heard about in the country that actually teaches high school students how to be florists. Are you aware of that?
Mm-hmm. They teach what?
High school.
So I have to chime in because I'm a Texan. And I do have to say that Texas has a wonderful florist association. It's a Texas State Florist Association. We're very proactive here in Texas. If anybody needs any help in Texas, I'm your gal. I'm here in Houston. And we just have a wonderful, wonderful floral community here in Texas, for sure. I have no doubt that your campaign will be a huge success here.
We're working with Deborah.
Yeah.
So I think we lost Michelle, but another challenge I'd like to give you ladies is for you to stay in touch for sure. So I'll be sending an email with everybody's emails, if you don't mind, to each other. And please feel free to stay in touch. And again, thank you so much for the inspiration and everything you do in your own scope and your own sector for the floral industry. And again, thank you for being generous with your time.
Thank you to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This was so much fun, ladies.
Hope you really enjoyed it. We'll do it again soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
You.
Ladies.
We say pedal on.
Bye-bye. Pedal on. Bloom on. So again, thank you so much to everybody for joining us. That's another episode, and it was awesome. I truly, truly appreciate all the ladies for joining us, all the ladies for sharing so generously and giving so much information. Again, we are planning to do, this month is actually e-commerce month, so keep an eye on New Bloom Solutions LinkedIn, keep an eye on our website, and also keep an eye as we'll be bringing in e-commerce experts this entire month. And then next month is, I think, innovation. So keep an eye. We're always bringing in new topics, and we stick to that topic for the entire month, and from there we go. And feel free to reach out to me. I am an avid collaborator, an avid networker. I'm a true big fan of it. So feel free to connect with me if you have any questions or just want to understand the industry, need a network or need to connect to a network. Reach out to me, Sahid at New Bloom Solutions. Again, Sahid at New Bloom Solutions. Thank you again to everybody for their time. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you for everybody that promoted this, and it was amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great day.